nicely coming on to appraisals. So, within an appraisal, it's obviously a bit more of a formal discussion. It's a bit more of a formal conversation, and usually something that's instigated by HR managers. Your appraisals need to be done by June the 1st or whatever. Managers quite often see this as a laborious task, something that takes up so much time, distracts them from the job, but there's a gaping big hole when they're not done. And it's really obvious when you come across a business where they don't do appraisals and they don't seem to follow through with appraisals. It becomes really obvious. And you could probably, I'm saying this completely without any fact, but only from experience, you could probably rely on a lack of appraisals and a lack of communication, reviews and those sorts of tools as a direct link to turnover and an increase in staff turnover, I would say, because there's no opportunity for staff to say, or there's no platform for staff to say if they're not happy or there's something that they just want to clarify or clear up. So if we just come on to the performance review document. So this is a really basic performance review document actually, and in your time you'll probably come across some quite difficult and complex ones, but I think the easier the better, and I think many managers would agree. So the initial part is to obviously have a really clear discussion about performance, progression, if there's any problems with the task element of the role, and particular strengths within activities that the individual is completing at the minute, and any sort of areas where they think that they could improve for themselves. Now this part A here is, as it says, employee to complete before the interview and return to the appraiser by. Now this is a particular style of appraisal, and not all appraisals are completed in this way. This allows an employee to put forward their summary of how they feel they're doing, and then for that to be reviewed and looked at prior to the appraisal, for then an open discussion about those points. That, however, isn't something that managers feel or should feel they need to counter-argue or disagree with or pick problems with or faults with. It's absolutely just an opportunity for the employee to be forthcoming about their thoughts. And the reason I spell that out quite explicitly is because I have seen appraisals before where there's an opportunity for an employee to put forward their thoughts and their arguments first, but then it seems to turn into a bit of a need to counter argue. So that's not what it's about at all. So if you just turn over the page, you'll be able to see on this one there is a competency framework. This would be something that is absolutely relevant to the organisation, and many organisations may have this competency structure within an appraisal process and applied to job descriptions, but these particular competencies will be different. And it's fair to say that these competencies are going to vary a lot between all the roles. They're not going to be the same for every single role, because we need everybody to play a different part in the play. So that is pretty self-explanatory, really, and I think you might want to just take a bit of time to have a read through that when you've got a moment. What would happen here within an appraisal is that an employee would score themselves on each of these competencies, make some comments, and the line manager would also score them on those competencies. And if there was a bit of discrepancy between where they felt they were at and where the manager felt they were at, it's an opportunity to discuss and then to highlight any potential reason for training or support. So we will just flip over those, because they're all these are relevant to my business and the business that I work in at the moment. So, as I say, would definitely vary between the sort of business that you're in. So then we move to this objectives page, which is really similar to the what we've just gone through. And this would be where you would, so say you were completing this on full year appraisal, and say, I think in an ideal case scenario, a document like this might be used when you have a full and mid-year appraisal process. So you set an objective, and you'd leave it there. You'd have an informal conversation about how those objectives are going to be achieved and the sort of the work in place to achieve them. Then you'd come back and review this document either at the next annual appraisal or mid-year appraisal, and agree whether it's been achieved, partially achieved, not achieved, or exceeded. Again, there's an element for the employee to score and the line manager to score. And comments.